Good morning, children. Welcome back with the next new session. So, in this session, we are going to discuss the previous lesson that we have already discussed. That is lesson number 8, Kingdoms and Empires from 6th standard textbook. So, we are going to discuss in a just what lesson Kings and Empires is. Okay. So, here I will be reading some points and I will let you know the meaning of these. Okay. So, let's begin. So, firstly, kingdoms and empires. So we are going to talk about the kingdoms and empires, what the kingdoms are and what is empire. So firstly, a territory ruled by a king was called a kingdom. So what is kingdom? A kingdom is a territory, that means a place which is ruled by a single person. A single person here is the person known as king. So a single person is ruling a kingdom or a territory is known as a kingdom. Okay, next what happens here is larger kingdoms were called empires. So larger, that means a group of kingdoms together called empires, or the larger kingdoms together called an empires. Okay, then Chandragupta Maurya founded the Mauryan Empire. So we all know that Chandragupta Maurya, he has founded the Mauryan Empire with the help of Kautilya, and the capital city is at Pataliputra. So Mauryan dynasty capital is at Pataliputra. So Chandragupta Maurya has taken the help of Kautilya, and he has founded the empire known as Mauryan Empire. So its capital is at Pataliputra. Then Ashoka was the greatest king of the Mauryan Empire. So after Chandragupta Maurya, Ashoka was the greatest king for the Mauryan Empire. So why he is great? Let's see. Ashoka waged a war against Kalinga and felt remorse. He abandoned wars and began to propagate his dharma or dhamma. So what happened is, so when he was waging a war, that means when he was fighting a war with his enemies, so what he has seen there is a lot of people have lost his life, lot of people have lost their lives in the battle. Many people have lost their houses, many people have lost their lives, many people were injured. So after seeing all these things, then he decided that there should be a peace among the people, there should not be any non-violence. From that war itself he has decided, and he decided to leave the war and follow the concept of dharma or dhamma. Okay, so this word dhamma has come from the Prakrit language, that means dharma means following only peace. Okay, then he issued inscription to propagate his policy of dharma and to promote world peace. Ashoka undertook various welfare measures for his people. So he issued inscriptions. So whatever he has done in the war, so it was all written on the walls. Okay, so whatever he has decided, that means from here on we should not go for any more battles. So that like he has written all these things on the walls of the kingdoms. Okay, walls of the palace, so that the next upcoming generation of his Mauryan family, they should know that there should not be any war, that their ancestors have done this and they have faced such a situation. They don't want this to be seen in the future. So that is the reason why Ashoka has he has ordered them to inscript all these things on the walls of the kingdom. Okay, then 500 years after the fall of Mauryan Empire, the Gupta Empire was founded by Chandragupta I. He ruled from Pataliputra. So after the 500 years, when the Mauryan Empire has come to an end, so it was so then the Gupta Empire was founded, and the person who has founded is Chandragupta I. So Chandragupta I was the person who has founded the Gupta Empire, and he ruled from Pataliputra. So his journey started from ruling from Pataliputra. So what is Pataliputra? Pataliputra is a place where the Mauryan kingdom has its capital previously. Then his son and successors, his means Chandragupta's. Okay, Chandragupta's son and successors, Samudragupta, expanded his kingdom up to South India. So from Pataliputra, that means from Bihar to South India, they have extended their kingdom. Who is he? The person known as Chandragupta, and his next is Chandragupta's son and his next successors means next generation people. Together they have started the journey from Pataliputra and expanded their kingdom till South India. Then there were 9 great scholars in the court of Chandragupta II. Okay, now Chandragupta I was the person who is the main person who has founded the Gupta Empire. The next generation, that means his son, is known as Chandragupta II. So in his court, what is court? Court means a place where the king sits in between and the other people sits in the either sides, isn't it? You have all seen in the cartoons or in the movies you have seen, no, in the in the courtyard what happens, the king sits in the middle on his throne, on his royal throne, and both the sides people sit, isn't it? All the ministers, all the scholars, like different people having like sing, they may be singers, they may be some poets, all these people sit together in the court of kings, isn't it? So what happened in Chandragupta II's court is, there are 9 great scholars in his court. Okay, then they were called Navaratnas, of whom Kalidasa was one. So all these 9 scholars, or the 9 great scholars were known as Navaratnas. Nava means 9, Ratnas means diamonds. So Navaratnas, these people were called Navaratnas, and one among them was the famous poet Kalidas. Okay, then the Ajanta and Ellora caves were done during the time of Gupta Empire. So the famous Ajanta and Ellora caves were these were done during the time of Gupta Empire only. Then Aryabhatta and Brahmagupta were the greatest mathematicians of this period. So in these scholars, that means the 9 scholars who were there in Chandragupta's court, so among them Aryabhatta and the Brahmagupta were the greatest mathematicians. So we all know about Aryabhatta, isn't it? We have learned about him in the science, we have learned about him in mathematics, isn't it? So along with him, Brahmagupta was also one of the person. So he was a mathematician, and they were great scholars during that time. Then Charaka and Sushrata made great contribution to science of medicine during the Gupta Empire. So these people known as Charaka and Sushrata, these people are also from the Navaratnas only. So these people are good at science. So they have found different medicines for every disease. They have founded different medicines, and they understood the treatment, what the kind of treatment what they gave is, they used to treat the disease from the roots. That means what is the main reason of the disease to come across. Okay, that means what is the main reason for the disease to take a birth. So they used to treat that. So it's not like it's a 1-day fever or 2-day fever, just having a single pill and thereon it's thereon the fever decreases. It's not like that. What is the main reason of the fever? From there they start their treatment, isn't it? Then in science, astronomy and metallurgy also, the Gupta empires made immense contribution. So in the science only, so the people of like the Sushrata and Charaka, these people were into like medicine, that means human life. So the science they used to deal was with the human life. Okay, then but the other people they have a knowledge of astronomy and metallurgy. Okay, so nowadays even if the cloud comes also, we may not say properly whether it is going to rain or not, or when it is going to be an eclipse, or when it is going to be a lunar eclipse or solar eclipse. Okay, all these things we may not tell properly, but in long back in those days, these people were so much experts that they did not have all these telescopes and all before the discovery, but they understood when it is going to rain, or when it is a lunar eclipse or solar eclipse, or when the stars are going to meet up, whatever is happening in the space, they have a great knowledge of all these things. Okay, so along with the metallurgy, what did we decided what did we discussed earlier? Metallurgy means like different metals were used together, and after melting them or after making combination of these, what is going to happen was discussed in the metallurgy. So these people had a great knowledge about all these things also. Okay, then after the fall of Mauryan Empire in South India, the Satavahanas came to power. Gautami Putra Satakarni was the greatest ruler of the dynasty. So once the Mauryan dynasty has come to an end in the South India, the Satavahanas have come. Now the Satavahanas, so the famous ruler of Satavahana is Gautami Putra Satakarni was the greatest ruler of this Satavahana dynasty. Then Satavahanas were succeeded by Ikshuvakas, who ruled from Vijayapuri. So Satavahanas have also defeated the kingdom of Ikshuvakas, and that means they have taken, like they have conquered the places where the Ikshuvakas have ruled, and finally they have ruled from the place known as Vijayapuri. Satavahanas have ruled from Vijayapuri after they have defeated Ikshuvakas. Okay, then another great dynasty that ruled South India was the Pallava dynasty. So Pallava dynasty was also one of the dynasty which was also ruled in the South India. Then they ruled the kingdom from Mahabalipuram and beautified it with rock cut art architecture. So the place where this kingdom, the Pallava dynasty was there, the whole area was like beautifully, it was designed with the rock cut gardens. Okay, then in the southern and the central India, the Chalukya dynasty ruled between 600 CE to 1200 CE. Okay, that means in the southern and in the central part of India, they were between 600 to 1200 CE. There were two kings, like they were the kings, famous kings from this dynasty known as Pulakesi I and Pulakesi II were the great rulers of this dynasty. Which dynasty? Chalukya dynasty. So they were Chalukyas, they were Pallavas, okay, they were Ikshvakas, they were Satavahanas. So all these dynasties were there in South India. So here the time period of Chalukyas was 600 to 1200 CE. So among them, Pulakesi I and Pulakesi II were the greatest rulers of this Chalukya dynasty. Then they made a rich contribution to art and architecture. So that means they contributed a lot for, that means they have spent a lot of their money or lot of wealth they have contributed for the development of art and architecture in their dynasty or in their kingdom. Their architecture is known Vesara and is a contribution to the South India and North India building styles. Okay, so whatever architecture they have done, so all these things they like, it all resembles the South Indian and the North Indian temples. Okay, so they have just made a combination and some were like made differently. Okay, so this was the thing these people of Pulakesi I and Pulakesi II they have done, and they are from Chalukya dynasty. Okay, so this was all about the lesson Kingdoms and Empires from 6th standard textbook. So here these points were just the glimpse of the lesson. So I hope you have all understood the revision class very well. For any more doubts and queries, please ask us immediately. We'll meet up in the next upcoming class. Till then, bye children. Thank you. Have a nice day.